1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose, you better
say what's cracking, YouTube. It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, today we got a special guest. Some of you guys may recognize him, Brother Akil. I had did an interview with him previously before. He done basically 25 years in the California prison system. Brother Akil, you know, give us a little background information about you.
Yeah, my name is Akil. I did 25 years in prison for a double murder. While I was in prison, right, the first, I would say 13, 14 years, I was pretty much had the same mentality that I had prior to. Even though I started to do a lot of reading and I started to educate myself under the guidance of a few brothers up in there, I still had that gang mentality. So I found myself always involved in some nonsense. I said probably about my 13th, 14th year, you know what I'm saying, I became a Muslim and I started moving in a different direction, the opposite direction. I was, you know what I'm saying, I was more about unity, more about education, and more about teaching brothers as opposed to harming brothers. I got out January 10th, 2019, and been working as an alcohol and drug counselor since then. And I just been striving to take care of my family, man. You know what I mean? Just trying to be more of a positive role model for my younger homies and for brothers in the community. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to a negative role model.
Yeah, that's what's up. And so, you know, the last time you was on, I got quite a few requests also about because you mentioned that you was a an avid reader, and I got a lot of requests about some of the favorite books that you read in there. So if you don't mind, give us a list of a couple of books you that was instrumental in helping you change your mind, or just some of the books that you found entertaining and that you know that you like for whatever reason.
Right. So as far as history goes, right, anything by Dr. Ben Yochanan, the Black Man of the Nile, Africa, the mother of Western civilization, Africa, the mother of Western religions. He has a number of We the Black Jews. He has a number of books that just deal with just African history in general. But those books are more geared towards, you know what I'm saying, what's going on in Egypt, what was going on in Kush, you know what I'm saying, during ancient times, right? So if you want to know about that, you can read those books. Those books, you know what I'm saying, had a profound impact in teaching me about that particular, about our African heritage as far as that goes. Some more history books that I read, you know what I'm saying, of course, The Destruction of a Black Civilization. I read that, even though it's a quite a, you know what I'm saying, quite a bit of controversy about that. I still think that it's a must read, you know what I'm saying, for most Black people. Also, I read Black Men Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous, which I said, you know what I'm saying, in the interview, you know what I'm saying, that book, Black Men Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous, that book pretty much shaped my consciousness, you know what I'm saying, while I was in prison. I think that every Black man should read that. The book was published right around, you know what I'm saying, the early 90s, I would say, you know what I'm saying, 90, 91. The brother that wrote that, brother named Hakeem Matabuti, if you read that book, he can actually set the groundwork, you know what I'm saying, for your consciousness, right? And then also in the book, he gives you a list of other books that you should read, right? But then, you know, and then like I said, man, so I read anything that I can really get my hands on, right? Brother, books by H. Rap Brown, books about the Black Panthers. I read, Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. I read Revolutionary Suicide by Huey Newton, Huey P. Newton. I read Asada by Asada Shakur. Uh, I read all of those books. Those books are very, very informational. George Jackson, Blood in My Eye. A lot of brothers don't really like Blood in My Eye, you know what I'm saying? But, that's because Blood in My Eye gets more into the political philosophy of of uh, of communism and Marxism, right? But what gets overlooked in Blood in My Eye is that he's giving you a history too of the BGF. So a lot of people think that George Jackson started the BGF, but the BGF was already in existence, when George came to the prison, right? George, uh, he had a natural ability to be a leader. And then the way that, he educated himself while he was there took him through the ranks, of the BGF to where, people actually considered him to be, a leader in that organization, right? But if you read Blood in My Eye, he talks about, he give you a list of other brothers that was already in the BGF prior to him even becoming part of that organization, right? And I remember when I was in prison, they was trying to say that I was a BGF sympathizer, right? Because I had that book, right? And then even in that, and even in my paperwork, they try to say, George Jackson created the BGF. So then I just gave them a whole history lesson, man, on how, that was just not true, right?
Right.
And then I had to remind them too, right? That, hey man, I was a Crip, right?
Now,
I said, man,
excuse me real quick. So now when you saying I had to remind them and I gave them a history lesson, are you talking about the prison administration?
there's a prison administrations and the IGI, right? The Goon Squad, right? Prison administration and IGI, right? Because they was basically trying to put this jacket on me that I was a BGF sympathizer, right? Basically what they was trying to, what they was going to try to do was put me in the shoe. Try to give me an indeterminate shoe, because only because I had this literature. That was the only reason, right?
Right.
But I told him like, hey man, I was a Crip, right? I'm a Crip, man. I've been Cripping since I was 13 years old, right?
Right.
I said, man, I ain't never been whatever year that y'all trying to say I am, right? And I said, if you know anything about Crips, if you ain't no Crip, you can't tell us what to do,
Yeah.
period, right? I said, man, other Crips can't even tell other Crips what to do, right? I said, you think somebody, that's not a Crip gonna tell me what to do? Right. And so after I said that, one of the dudes that was on the Goon Squad, he was like, yeah, I know. Right. I said, so man, well, I don't know why it is that y'all trying to put this jacket on me, man. I don't have those ties. Right.
Right.
So they was like, oh, okay. They eventually, end up letting that stuff go. But I know when I went in front of the parole board, they had brung all that stuff up again. You know what I mean? But again, even I told the parole board the same thing. My story ain't gonna change. Why? Because it's the truth, right? I never had those ties, man. You know what I mean? But I had those books. Solidarity Brother is another good book, man. Even though it's just a bunch of prison letters that the brother wrote, those
Yeah.
prison letters, man, are very, very informational, knowledgeable. You know what I mean? You can really, really pull a lot out of those letters, man. The Solidarity Brothers, man. It's a very good book. You know what I mean? I actually, was going to take that idea and not make it anything political, but I was going to take the letters that I wrote to my wife while I was in prison, right,
Mhm.
and turn that into a book, right, like that.
Now,
I got that idea from Solidarity Brothers.
and some of the things that you spoke on and just mentioned kind of sparked the idea in my head. So let me ask you, were there any prisons up north? I know you was at Salinas that you served time at, and that did you do any time like with any Northerners?
So I did time with a few Northerners, right? The majority of it, was at Salinas. I don't think I didn't go past Salinas though. Matter of fact, not until later on when I went up to Solano. That's the furthest I've been up north, right? You know what I'm saying? But I was with some Northerners in Corcoran. I was with some Northerners in Kern Valley. Uh, and I was with some Northerners in Salinas and Solano, right?
And as far as you can recall, what was the relationship and the dynamics like between the brothers on the line and the Northerners?
So, you know what I'm saying, that's strange too, right? Because when I first came into prison, especially in Salinas Valley, that was like the first prison that I hit. You know what I'm saying? Our relationship with the Northerners, man, you know what I'm saying, was like solid. You know what I'm saying? They were just like another extension of us. Just they were just different from different gang. They used to hang out with us, they used to spread with us, they used to eat with us. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that they didn't do was bust down with us. That was the only thing that they didn't do. But
Right.
you know, they play ball with us, everything, right? Um, I seen that change over the years, right? But one of the things that happened, man, you know what I'm saying, is that they sent a lot of the leadership for the Northerners.
Uh-huh.
They sent a lot of them to the feds, right? You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, they sent a lot of Southern Mexicans, you know what I'm saying, so that was part of the Mexican mafia to the feds as well, right? So, in the feds, you know what I'm saying, you from California, you know what I'm saying, everybody gets along, you know what I'm saying? There ain't no, you know, ain't no, no,
Divide.
yeah, ain't no beefing back and forth. Why? Because, you know what I'm saying, this California gets everybody, from my understanding anyway,
Right.
right? So, you know what I'm saying, and this is just a story I got from a Northerner, right? You know what I'm saying? Where I was in Corcoran with him at this time. And basically, he was telling me, like, man, we getting these orders, man, from these dudes from up north. I mean, from these dudes from the Fed. And they telling us, you know what I'm saying, not to hang out with, you know what I'm saying, with blanks, not to kick it with blanks, you know what I'm saying? And pretty soon, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna have us going to war with. He said, but he said, man, how do I go to war with somebody, man, that I grew up with? You know what
Right.
I mean? He said, how do I go to war with somebody, man? You know what I'm saying? I got babies by his sister. He got babies by my sister. Right? How do I go to war with these dudes, man? And you know what I'm saying? And we so closely related, so closely knitted. Right? He said that this is why a lot of them dudes was dropping out. He told me, he said, man, this is why a lot of my homies is dropping out. This is why a lot of them dudes was, you know what I'm saying, getting pushed on over to the sensitive needs yard because they was refusing, you know what I'm saying, to treat us as enemies. You know what I mean? This is right around the time, you know what I'm saying, where, you know what I'm saying, Northerners and Southerners, you know what I'm saying, began to squash they, you know what I'm saying, they little beef with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that, you know what I'm saying? And then, and quite, you know what I'm saying, and quite naturally, you know what I'm saying, we find ourselves start having more and more confrontation with the Northerners. You know what I mean? Not nothing like really major, but you know what I'm saying, some fist fights here, you know what I'm saying, some melees there, but you know what I'm saying, but still, you know what I'm saying, that relationship changed all due to the fact, you know what I'm saying, of these dudes, you know what I'm saying, hitting the federal pen together and changing their whole approach, you know what I'm saying, towards the brothers. You know what I mean?
And so do you feel anything else contributed to the breakdown of the relationship between the Northerners and the brothers? Do you feel that it has something to do sometimes with the lack of discipline by some black gangs?
So I'm pretty sure that all of that played a part. You know what I'm saying? It's never going to be just one dynamic, you know, or you know what I'm saying, one thing, right? I'm pretty sure that all of that played a part. You know what I'm saying? You know how you know what I'm saying, brothers can be, you know what I'm saying, if they in that lifestyle, any form of weakness, you know what I'm saying, will be, you know what I'm saying, taken advantage of. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that played a part. You know what I'm saying? I also know what another thing that played a part is a lot of things that was going on in the streets, right? I'm not familiar with, you know what I'm saying, exactly, you know what I'm saying, what goes on in Northern California streets, but you know what I'm saying, just going by, you know what I'm saying, my conversation with Northerners and brothers from up north, you know what I'm saying, they used to have a lot of beef, you know what I'm saying, on the streets as well,
Right.
right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just gonna be honest with you, man, you know what I'm saying, from my understanding, the way I seen it, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if I'm pretty sure some of the older cats can tell you, you know, so once upon a time, you know what I'm saying, uh if your hood was next to a Mexican hood, y'all pretty much got along. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And anybody from outside of that hood that came through, you know what I'm saying, was gonna get it. It didn't matter if they was black or Mexican, you know what I'm saying, they was gonna get it. Why? Because this is our hood over, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying, as, you know what I'm saying, those prison politics filtered out into the streets, you know what I'm saying, that began to change, right? You know what I'm saying? That said the same thing happened up north, right? You know what I'm saying? That certain hoods up there, you know what I'm saying, they all got along with each other, you know what I'm saying? Blacks, and that's like I was telling you, that dude from Corcoran, or the dude I was in Corcoran with, he was actually from Sacramento, but the dude I was in Corcoran with, he was telling me, you know what I'm saying, how he grew up with blacks, you know what I'm saying, he got babies by, you know what I'm saying, a sister, you know what I'm saying, one of the brothers, you know what I'm saying, from Garden Block, got babies by his sister, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth, right? And they hood, you know what I'm saying, pretty much got along, and they used to beef with other hoods outside of there, right? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But he said that, you know what I'm saying, as those politics, you know what I'm saying, start to trickle out into the streets, you know what I'm saying, all of that start to change, right? I think that that had a lot to do with it as well,
Yeah.
right? Now, all of this is just secondhand information too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not from up there, so I really can't say. But you know what I'm saying, just talking with, you know what I'm saying, Northerners and brothers from up north, you know what I'm saying, that's the, you know what I'm saying, the word I got.
Right. And then you mentioned earlier too that, being a Crip, even other Crips can't tell certain Crips what to do.
Right.
What's your feelings on the lack of unity amongst Crips and blacks in general in prison, but especially with the Crips and stuff like that?
Right. So, you know what I'm saying? One of the things, man, that I'm gonna tell you uh two things, man, that the worst thing happened to, you know what I'm saying, the black community, right? Crack cocaine and semi-automatic and automatic weapons.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like this, man, you know what I'm saying? Before all of that, you know what I'm saying, it didn't matter where you was from, you know what I'm saying? You could, you going, you know what I'm saying, we can go catch this fade. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna really, you know what I'm saying, pretty much be it, right? You know what I'm saying? But then when bodies start dropping, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be hard for me, you know what I'm saying, to find any type of love or camaraderie, you know what I'm saying, with this dude who killed somebody I grew up with, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So now imagine that on just a wide scale. You know what I mean? And that pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And then you take away, you know what I'm saying, our leadership, right? And Raymond get killed, Tookie guilt, you know what I'm saying, get on death row, you know what I'm saying? All of these dudes who are names, got big names, get washed up in the pen, right? You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying, they take away our leadership, and at the same time, you got this influx of crack cocaine and semi-automatic and automatic weapons, along with our own self-hatred. You know what I mean? We can't, you'll never want to discount that. You know what I'm saying? Our own self-hatred, you know what I'm saying, it goes along with that. You know what I'm saying? It just created something that we see the ramifications of it today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so you gave me a pretty good breakdown of that question. But I was talking about more specifically in prison.
Okay.
What are your thoughts? But what you said, I like that, but what are your thoughts on the Crips being unable to get along in prison?
Right. So the cold part about it is that, you know what I'm saying, from my understanding, even before, you know what I'm saying, you and I was sent to prison, uh, you know what I'm saying, that, you know what I'm saying, there were organizations that were formed, you know what I'm saying, in order to bring, you know what I'm saying, Crips up under one banner while they was in prison, right? You know what I'm saying, just like I know, man, if you know what I'm saying, that would be they would have been a formidable force in prison. You know what I'm saying, had those things, you know what I'm saying, had that organization been able to maintain, right? But I think too, like I was saying, you know, things that's going on uh, in the streets, you know what I'm saying, as far as Crips go, things that was going on in the streets affected what went on in prison,
Right.
right? Uh, so just like, you know what I'm saying, so you got these particular hoods, you know what I'm saying, these big hoods, you know what I'm saying, that don't really get along with each other, right? You know what I'm saying, they can't see eye to eye, you know what I'm saying, one way or another, you know what I'm saying, and they start, you know what I'm saying, falling out, you know what I'm saying, in prison, right? You know what I'm saying? So those things never really get reconciled,
Right.
right? You know what I'm saying? So you find ourselves, you know what I'm saying, not being able to organize the way that we could have or should have while we was up in there.
And then, like you
Uh,
said, you have these big hoods that's falling out,
right,
and then you have smaller hoods aligning themselves with either or. So
right,
yeah, it kind of creates a,
right.
a division between a lot of Crips and stuff. And
It
so
does.
have you because I to be honest, I've never heard of any blacks in jail being the initiators of a riot with the Hispanics. Have you ever heard of that?
Let me see. No, no. And uh I do know, well, no, but I do know this, right? That it's been a few yards that I've been on where, you know what I'm saying, you have some brothers that was on the yard, and these brothers was, you know what I'm saying, they was no nonsense, they was not with the games, none of that. If they even got, I remember they got wind that the Southern Mexicans, you know what I'm saying, was disgruntled about anything, they was taking off, right? You know what I'm saying? Their thing was, you know what I'm saying, that we're not gonna sit around and wait for these dudes to come over here and attack us and harm us, right? He said, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I had one brother, he was from Compton, you know what I'm saying? He actually told me, he said, man, he said, I have never been on the losing end of of a riot, right? And he said the
Uh-huh.
main reason why I've never been on the losing end of why, he said, because we take off first, right? He said, well, if I even hear about, you know what I'm saying, the message being disgruntled, we not waiting, we taking off, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But watch this though, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because another person who I heard that same speech from, chances, right?
Right.
He said, if I even think that you're gonna do something, we taking off. It ain't no
Right.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what it is, right? And so, but it was nothing, it was never, you know what I'm saying, something that they did, you know what I'm saying, just on a fluke, on a whim or anything like that. No, they would hear something, they'd get word about something, you know what I'm saying, somebody done came and spilled the beans, you know, so you know how, you know what I'm saying, sometimes you know, northerners will come, let us know, hey man, this is what's being talked about, this is what's being said. Y'all might want to be ready. Right. Or, you know what I'm saying, Asians might come, hey man, this is what's being said, this is what's being talked about. You know what I'm saying, y'all might want to watch y'all back. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as the brothers would hear something like that, taking a flight. Ain't no ifs,
Right.
ands, or buts about it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I've been on those yards with those brothers, man, and they wasn't doing no playing, right? They wasn't doing no waiting or none of that. Now, as far as like just doing something just for the hell of it, just because I can, nah. You know what I'm saying? Brothers, brothers didn't function like that. You know what I'm saying? Brothers, you know, one of the things too, man, you know what I'm saying, too, uh, and I was talking to one of the brothers, the older brother from Hoover. He was telling me, like, he said, man, you read all these books. He said, man, you got to learn how to practice, you know what I'm saying, what you're reading. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to put that stuff into practical application, right? He was like, so one of the things he was talking about, you know what I'm saying, he was talking about, you know what I'm saying, Comrade George, and what George wrote, you know what I'm saying, in Blood in My Eye, about how strong black prisoners have to look out for the weak black prisoners. You know what I'm saying? That we have to be the ones that take care of each other. Right. You know what I'm saying? So those of us who are strong have to, you know what I'm saying, protect those who can't protect themselves. Right. So how do you protect those that can't protect themselves? You know what I'm saying? You go out, you know what I'm saying, you become this formidable force. Right. He said, this is why, you know what I'm saying, we had never wait for somebody just to come over here and attack us. Right. He said, why? Because he said, man, look at you, you know what I'm saying? These brothers can't barely walk. You know what I'm saying? This brother, you know what I'm saying, got a cane. You know what I'm saying? These are the ones that's gonna be preyed upon,
Right.
right? You know what I mean? He said, so them, he said, so why wait? He said, we're gonna make sure that those brothers are secure, and then we're gonna take this fight. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah.
And so, do you think that, because like I said, the time that I done, I never really heard of any brothers taking off first. Do you think that the lack of unity amongst all the brothers, we can't get on one accord, plays a problem? Because I have been on yards,
Yes.
homie, where you have dudes that wanna take off and stuff, and then you have other dudes like, oh no, man, that ain't, hold on, let's let these dudes know and stuff. And it just seems like for the
Right.
most part, since there's so much tribalism within the black ranks, that you can't get people on the same page.
Right. And yeah, and that's basically what it is too, man. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, you know what I'm saying, then you got egos, you know what I'm saying, dudes' egos, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
play a part in that as well.
They're not
Right.
gonna let in their mind, they're not gonna let somebody from another hood dictate when they take off.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Most
So,
definitely.
but you know what I'm saying. But another thing too is that, you know, like I said, I also been on those yards where, you know what I'm saying, where you got these brothers, you know what I'm saying, who got these big names for themselves. You know what I'm saying. Once they say, hey man, this is what it is, this is what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was,
Right.
right? Uh, you know, and I what I noticed that being on those yards, you know what I'm saying, things went a lot more peaceful, you know what I'm saying, than when I was on yards with brothers who were always bickering back and forth, never wanting to, you know what I'm saying, go along to get along, you know what I'm saying, always got something to say about, you know what I'm saying, each other. You know what I'm saying? It was always chaos, you know what I'm saying, on
Right.
those yards, right?
Well, who were some of the convicts that you ran across that you consider influential in helping you educate yourself, or influential in giving you an understanding on how to move in prison in terms of,
Right,
being prepared, being vigilant, just any of those
right.
things? Are there anybody that made a impact on you, you think?
So it was quite a few people, man. Like the very first one, man, was Steve-O from 60, from neighborhood 60s, man. Um, he was he was like the one that, he, you know what I'm saying, had me, you know what I'm saying, working out, you know what I'm saying, make sure I was physically fit, you know what I'm saying. He the one out, you know, him in the interview, he the one, you know what I'm saying, showed me how to make the knives, you know what I'm saying, like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying, this is what you do, go back in there, do this again, right, and do it this way, right, you know what I'm saying. He was actually, you know what I'm saying, hands-on in teaching me things, right, you know what I'm saying. Another person, you know what I'm saying, as far as like education goes, was Ebo's from Compton. uh, real, you know what I'm saying, sharp brother, man, you know what I'm saying. Um, he the first one that gave me that book, Black Men Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous. Uh, and so Ebo, you know what I'm saying, I'll go get books from Ebo, right? And Ebo would want to, you know what I'm saying, after I read the book, now he finna sit back and question me about the book, right? You know what I'm saying? What I read, you know what I'm saying? And then the man's mind was out of this world, because he can remember, you know what I'm saying, what was being said on what page, and you know what I'm saying? And he would question me about that, right? And I'd be like, man, how did you remember that? You know what I mean? But you see, and he told me, he's like, man, it's about repetition. You know what I'm saying? He read these books over and over and over again, right? So he was another one, you know what I'm saying, that had me, you know what I'm saying, reading books, you know what I'm saying, making sure my mind was sharp. Another one was Lebo. Lebo was from Compton, from Front Hood, and he was instrumental in giving me books and making sure, you know what I'm saying, that I was sharpening my mind. Uh, I was on the yard. I was in Lancaster with Big James Miller, right? You know what I'm saying? And me and him, we never had like any like in-depth discussion, you know what I'm saying? But he used to, he used to always, you know what I'm saying, holler at me, talk to me, and just, just a kind and cool brother, right? And then I didn't really know, you know what I'm saying, his background until I actually left Lancaster. He never like told me, you know what I'm saying, I'm this, I'm that, I was this, I was that. He never said none of those things, bro. He used to just sit back and just have conversations with me. You know what I'm saying? Ask me how my mom was doing, how my family doing, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, right?
Right.
Uh, show
Now, real
dog.
quick, let me
Yeah.
ask you, just for my own understanding and everybody else out there. You're talking about Big James Miller from Harlem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
for those who may not know, can you expound a little bit about, the brother and his
So
reputation? And
so Big James, you know what I'm saying, from my understanding, man, you know what I'm saying, not only was he like, you know what I'm saying, reputable, you know what I'm saying, from Harlem, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, he was also one of the founding members of CCO, right? Uh, and he was well known, you know what I'm saying, throughout the prison, and for those things. You know what
right.
I'm saying? You know what I'm
When
saying?
you
I don't
ran
know.
across when you ran excuse me, but when you ran across him, was he an older brother, or
He was older, yeah. He was older, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause when I ran across him, I got the Lancaster in 97. November 97, I got the Lancaster. I hit the yard with him in January of 98, right? So he would already been in prison, you know what I'm saying, all of that time. Like, he had already been in prison, I think at that time, like 20 some odd years already,
right?
right? You know what I'm saying? So and then at that time, I think I was what, 22, 23. You know what I'm saying? So he was way older than me. You know what I mean? And like I said, he never like, I just, so when I first heard the name, everybody was calling him BJ, right? So I didn't really put the two together. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because everybody was just calling him BJ. So, you know what I'm saying, me and him used to have these conversations. So I just call him BJ because that's what everybody else called him, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you know what I'm saying, so my boy Hog hit the yard, you know what I'm saying, and then Hogg was the one that told me, you know what I'm saying, nah, that's James Miller. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying, then that's when, you know, so when I hear the name James Miller, you know, that name ring bells, right? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, you know, so now I was able to put that together. Big James, BJ, right? You know what I'm saying? But he
Right.
never talked to me about cripping. He never talked to me about CCO. He never talked to me about any of those things, bro. He used to just ask me how's I doing just as a man in prison, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was it. That was the extent of our conversation. Man, how you doing, man? How your family doing? How your mom doing? You good? You straight? You know what I'm saying? And that was it. You know, he never really hollered at me about anything else. You know what I
And
mean?
And yeah, and you said something that I kind of wanted to mention. When I first got to prison in '96, it was a couple of brothers, man, who looked out for me. You know, didn't know me from Adam, man. Big H
Right,
from Compton. A few brothers, C Looney, from Venice Showline used to come holler at me all the time. Kenny
right,
Rat, from Four Trade Gangsters. He slid me my first knife. Didn't really know me. Well, actually, it was a dude. It was a pimp who I knew from Montana
right,
had and they used to kind of be on him on there, and he said, hey, I know that dude right there. And so we got to talking, and he kind of just looked out for me, Kenny Rat. But back then, it seemed like brothers had a lot of love for other brothers just on the fact that they was
right,
black, black, and
right,
you was a Crip. People was gonna look out for you and try to lace you,
right,
like you said, give you some information, some wisdom, make sure you was straight. Now I don't know if that happened to fall off in later years, or it wasn't that tight on the lower levels, because like you say, when I first hit prison, I was in Salinas Valley too, and a lot of this
yeah,
stuff happened on those higher levels where maybe it
right,
was more, people felt it was more serious, but it
right,
seemed like later doing time on those lower levels, it wasn't as much camaraderie as you would see up there on those 4 yards.
right.
And then
You know what
also
I'm
I
saying?
wanted to add too, by me and you both being from the Inland Empire area, we ran across some Los Angeles reputables, legends, that we, by being so far away, we didn't know who these individuals were until, like you say, later on. I didn't know how legendary Big H was, Big Heron, or even
Right,
Marcellus from Compton. I didn't realize how legendary they were until later after my meeting them.
right. Yeah, man. So that's another thing too, man. Because there were certain names that you would hear, you know what I'm saying, and even though we way out, you know what I'm saying, out the way, you know what I'm saying, there were certain names that you would hear, like Raymond, Tookie, right? You know what I'm saying, Jamel. You would hear those names, right? And you know those names just because of, you know what I'm saying, their impact on Crippin, right? But as far as, you know what I'm saying, certain hoods go, right?
Right,
You know what I'm saying? There were certain names that will ring bells, you know what I'm saying, in the LA area, but we didn't really hear about, you know what I'm saying, out there, right? But then when you come into prison, you know what I'm saying, and then you start to, you know what I'm saying, all of this stuff, you start put all this stuff together, you know what I'm saying, it's really, really uh
mind blowing and almost
yeah,
surreal.
man, like yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
that, right? But one of the things, man, that I really didn't understand is, right, uh how, you know what I'm saying, a lot of those brothers, man, you know what I'm saying, like how you was talking about Big H. So I never was on the yard with Big H, but you know what I'm saying, I used to hear that name like repeatedly,
right,
right? You know what I'm saying? Another one, you know what I'm saying, even like uh Hog from Hoover, you know what I'm saying? Another name, I was on the yard with him, not only in Lancaster, but also in Ironwood, right? You know what I'm saying? PT from Hoover, you know what I'm saying? Another dude that was instrumental in, you know what I'm saying, that in CCO, right? Um, you know what I'm saying? You start, being on the yard with these brothers, I'm trying to figure out why is it, you know what I'm saying, things are the way that they are. You know what I mean? Like that. Now,
right,
now I never really could, you know what I'm saying, understand that, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, that you got these brothers, you know what I'm saying, with these names, right? Even Suma, I was down there with I was down there in Sinella, you know what I'm saying, on the yard with Suma, right? And I just really couldn't figure out, you know what I'm saying, how, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, things were the way that they were, right? And you
right,
got these brothers with these big names, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, all of this, you know what I'm saying, this clout, this rep, right? And but we still, you know what I'm saying, not as formidable as we could be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that. But I remember listening to I listened to this brother speak, you know what I'm saying, while I was in Solano, and he basically said, man, even though you have brothers like that, he said, you have brothers like that. He said, man, there was really, you know what I'm saying, only two people that brothers was actually going to listen to. You know what I'm saying? He said, and you know what I'm saying, one was, you know what I'm saying, one was dead and the other one was on death row. So he said, you know what I'm saying, you know, as far as like getting people like together, you know what I'm saying, like one big, you know what I'm saying, one big organization, he said there's only two people that was going to be able to do that, you know what I'm saying? And he said that, you know, that was it. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying, you know, they probably have individuals that would listen to them. But, you know what I'm saying, when you start crossing, you know what I'm saying, hood lines, things like that, he said, man, you know, they weren't going to be heard. You know what I mean?
Right. And let me ask you a question here. You just sparked something else in my mind. Do you recall where you were when the state of California executed Tookie?
I was in Corcoran. Yeah, I was in Corcoran, man.
What
And I remember they locked us down. They locked us down. They locked us down. You know what I mean? You know,
they locked all the Crips down, or just everybody?
They locked everybody down, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I think the reason why they locked everybody, down because you just had two brothers that whooped on the police. You know what I'm saying? Maybe about a month or two prior before they executed Tookie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if I talked about it, you know what I'm saying, in our last interview. But I you know what I'm saying, and both of those, one brother was from up north, he was a Damu from Sac. The other brother was a Damu from LA. They were Sellies, right? I can't remember what they got into with the police for, but I know when he came out of cell, he knocked the police out. He was a little small dude too, like about Pee-wee size, right? Little small dude, you know what I'm saying? But he was cut up though, right? And when he came out, he fired. He was a big old cop too. Big, you know, cop had to be like about 5'10", 220, 250, something like that, right? Somewhere in between there. And he came out and he fired on that CO, man, and knocked him smooth out, right? So dude in the tower, it was a brother CO in the tower. Right, he got a Glock gun, you know what I'm saying, but before he can shoot the little brother, you know what I'm saying, get down and pull the CO on top of him. Like, man, you're not finna shoot me, right? His cellie come out the cell when then the other CO that was on the floor come running up the stairs. His cellie come out the stair, down him right there on the stairs, right? You know what I'm saying, and whooped him all the way across the tier. You know what I'm saying? Just whooped him. You know what I mean? Needless to say, you know what I'm saying, when all them COs came up in there, they didn't do nothing while they was in the building. They dragged them outside. You know what I'm saying? When they dragged them outside, man, they whooped them brothers, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, because they didn't want us to see it, because they already knew that if we seen it, you know what I'm saying, it was gonna go down. But they dragged them outside and they whooped them brothers. And we had got word, that one of them had sent word out from the hole, you know what I'm saying, what that happened afterwards. Right. You know what I'm saying? But then 2 months later, you know what I'm saying, they execute Tookie, they just slammed the whole prison. Right. You know what I'm saying? So the crazy thing about it is that we didn't even the day before we was out programming, the next day we was slammed, right? And they executed him that night. And then they slammed us the day after.
I smoked a couple ops, left him in the box. The only man that ever hit me with his hand, it was my pops. Any other dummy try, he bout to die, my nigga watch. In a hurry, cause I'm Conrad Murray, giving deadly shots, overdose until they drop. And I ain't talking propofol, it's 50 in this rifle clip, that's 25 for both of y'all. I played the game so well, I'm qualified for coaching y'all. Got arrested, nigga faced the L and never spoke at all. Got 16 to life in that cell, I never would've choked it all. I did 24 years before they opened up the wall. Don't ask me about no soap at all, cause nigga, that's some gay shit. And like dog shit in the street, I'm nothing to play with. The business what I stay with like a stockbroker. I ain't got famous by talking, nigga, I'm not Oprah. I used to ride so much, they called me the black chauffeur, leaving big holes and shit like that Caddyshack gopher.
Is it ratchet when they say they ratchet? They really ain't with the shit that I be with, cause they just don't know how to say it. Is it ratchet when they saying they ratchet? They really ain't at the house with family, eating, smoking, and playing games. Is it ratchet when they saying they ratchet? They really ain't with the shit that I be with, cause they just don't know how to say it. Is it ratchet when they saying they ratchet? They really ain't at the house with family, eating, smoking, and playing games.